Hello, everyone. My name is Irina, and thank you for joining me in today's session. I called it Women, Work, and Voice. It's something I've wanted to record for a while, and usually when we talk about professional English, we focus on grammar. I do, because I'm a teacher and I need to focus on the formal aspects. But today we are going deeper. We're going to look at the cultural and linguistic journey of women in the workplace. The thing is, the way we speak in a meeting today and how we negotiate or how we hold back isn't accidental. It's the result of decades of evolution. We're going to trace that history, look at some incredible local stories of resilience, and then move into practical tools you can use right now to claim your professional identity. By the end of this, I want you to use that your voice, I want you to use and see that your voice isn't just a way to communicate, it's your most powerful professional asset. Now, let's go and walk a little bit to the past, okay? A little bit of history. Let's talk about the evolution of feminism and the three waves of professionalism. So, to understand where we are right now in 2026, we actually have to look back at where we started. And we often talk about the waves of feminism, but let's look at them specifically through the lens of work. Now, the first wave, which I call it the gatekeepers, it takes place back in the late 19th and 20th century. The struggle was about access. Women, we struggle to access. Think about the psychological barrier of that time. If you don't have the right to vote, or you can't even open a bank account without a husband's permission, the idea of a career doesn't even exist. So, this was about getting the keys to the building, literally, because without legal recognition, professional autonomy was a dream, sadly. Now, let's take a look at the second wave. I call it the office revolution. And I am starting to liking this one a little bit better. This is where it gets interesting for us because in the 60s and 70s, women were in the workplace, but the rules weren't made for them. And this is when the conversations about equal pay, maternity leave, and anti discrimination laws started. It was literally a fight to prove that women's presence in the office shouldn't be a sacrifice or a favor, but a right. And the third wave, and for me, it's also like the modern focus. It deals with now, okay? And the conversation has shifted again because it's just not about being allowed to work. How can I be allowed to work? I mean, it's a right. It's about also representation and leadership. We are breaking stereotypes in sectors that were traditionally men only. And I am very proud about this matter. Today's focus is on work life balance and visibility. How do we lead? So, how do we stay authentic to ourselves while navigating high level corporate structures? This is a very interesting question actually. We've moved from asking for a seat at a table to deciding how that table should be run. In my case, I have to thank you and I have to thank also my company because I'm a director of one of the academies, and I can prove that women can actually hold important positions inside a company. So thanks a million for this. Now, let's dig deeper into this story and the history of feminism. I'm going to talk about the soul of the story, which is resilience and the hidden history of feminism. And this matter for me is very important because our company, Language Kingdom, has its roots in Asturias. And I want to share some stories that ground this global history in something very, very real and local. For me, again, it's very important because I'm a Asturian girl 100%, and there's the love I have for my land is incredible. Now, let me guide you and talk about the carboneras, okay? Most people think of mining as a male-only world. Asturias is a mining land and a miner land. But the carboneras were essential because women were eventually banned from going underground. They worked on the surface in brutal conditions. Now, imagine sorting, cleaning and transporting heavy coal in the freezing rain. Today is actually a rainy day, and it's pouring rain. I'm looking at the sky and I'm wondering how they did it. Asturias is rainy, wet, humid, cold, so all my respect to them. They work on the surface again in brutal conditions, and day after day. They weren't career women in the modern sense. They worked literally for survival. And when the men were sick or the mines were dangerous, they were always dangerous. These women kept their families alive. They proved that women have always been the backbone of economy, even when their work was invisible. And this is something so rooted in Asturias that I wanted to share it with all of you. Now, there is another job that I want to talk to you about, the cigarreras. These women are a fantastic example of collective power. My family, half of my family is from Gijón, so I'm also very rooted into this matter. Working in a tobacco factories in places such as Sevilla or Gijón, they were some of the first women to have a stable, salarized work. But they did more than just work. They organized. They had a public voice, they had their own money, and they showed society that a working woman could be independent and also influential. And the third job, and that I would really, really like to talk about, also very rooted inside of me, the maestras rurales, so rural teachers. This connects perfectly with what we do in education. For a long time, becoming a teacher was one of the only ways a woman could achieve intellectual authority. And these women would move to tiny villages, often living alone, which was quite radical at the time. And they were the ones who brought literacy and progress to the community. They transitioned us from physical labor to qualified professional work. And I said earlier that this is very rooted inside of me because my beloved academy, Tineos Academy, is located in a rural area, the southwest of Asturias. And I see every single day women, hardworking women, maintaining and taking care of the families and children. And I am so proud of teaching in such a place. And of course, also seeing the amazing and fantastic landscape that we've got in Asturias. So for me, this is a dream come true. And again, I have to thank the company for this because they know exactly what I like. Now, let's get a little bit serious now. Let's talk about the international context, okay, and the World War II. If we look globally, World War II was the ultimate proof. When the men left to the front, millions of women stepped into factories. They did the impossible jobs. And when the war ended, the world couldn't go back to the old way of thinking because the proof was there. When given the opportunity, capacity has no gender. And they stepped up. So this proves that gender is not an issue if you really want to help others and accomplish valuable tasks. Now, because I'm a teacher, I think I didn't mention it before, I want to talk about something important as well, which is language and assertiveness. Let's take all that history that we've just seen and listened to and put it into your daily life. How do we turn the legacy into a professional voice? Well, easy. I think so, at least. In English, we often use softness that makes us sound less confident. I want to challenge you to challenge and to change your default settings. Now, assertive language. Assertiveness is about being direct but respectful, always. We need to stop minimizing instead of saying, for example, I just wanted to check if. Why don't we try to say, I'm following up on this, okay? Or instead of, I'm not sure, but maybe we could, using lots of modal verbs and hedging, we could try and say, one effective solution would be, I think we need to also demonstrate that we are confident about our ideas and how we say them and what we want to transmit. But now we need to realize that we also have to set boundaries. Very important, setting boundaries. This is where many of us struggle. I sometimes struggle as well. We feel like saying no is unprofessional, but actually the opposite is true. Clear boundaries show you are a high value professional. If you are overwhelmed, don't say, I'm sorry. Say, let's see, how can I make this sound professional? Say, for example, I am at full capacity right now to ensure the quality of my current tasks, but I can look at this on Friday. Another thing that we have to do is we need to negotiate our value, negotiate your value. Negotiation is a dialogue, it's not a conflict. So you need to use phrases that focus on results. Based on responsibilities, for example, I've taken on this year, I'd like to discuss an adjustment to my compensation. This is a good thing to say, don't you think? You are stating a fact based on your work, not asking for a favor. You don't want anything that is not yours. You're just asking for what you deserve. Always remember that. And now, to finish this, okay, let's talk about the following. I hope what I talked about, you liked it and it has helped you out a bit. And I want to close with something that I called independence as a choice. So, to wrap up, I want you to remember this. Economic independence is freedom. I mean it. I experience this every single day of my life. It gives you the power to make choices about your life, your home, and your future. Thanks to the job that I have a house, I have a place of my own, I have a home. I didn't ask anybody for anything. I don't owe anybody anything because what I have, I work for it every single day. And ladies, you have no idea how beautiful it is to open the door of your own place, your own place. I didn't need to buy it in my case with anybody else, it's entirely mine, and go to work knowing that at the end of the day I deserve a rest and I can rest under a roof that it's mine and nobody can take that away from me. But independence also requires a voice. Language, and specifically English, is your access key. Nowadays, the world is completely globalized, and you need a language that can act as a loudspeaker for everybody in the world, no matter where, to understand you, to hear, and to listen to you. It allows you to step into international rooms and join global conversations. We aren't starting from zero, we are standing on the shoulders of, sorry, I'm getting a little bit emotional, of the carboneras and the cigarreras and the teachers who paved the way. I'm getting emotional, really. Now, your job now is to take that space. Take it. Don't minimize your achievements ever. Speak with intention, because when you own your voice, your own professional identity, you own your professional identity. Thank you for listening, and happy Women's Day.